What's up, everybody? It's your favorite table flipper's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at G Creations Rebel, which is their take on Masterpiece IDW scale Prowl. One of the more interesting characters from that universe, for sure. This is on loan to me from Extra Zero. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram, and or check out his podcast, which is called Breaking the Mold, part of the Cool Table Network, and available on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, and so forth. But a lot of people have been asking me to take a look at this figure, so let's not dilly-dally. He comes with two guns, which is to say this dark gray plastic and then the yellow paint job throughout. I love paint on weapons, and this does a great job, even with the yellow, with one exception, which is this stripe right here. It could use a second coat, but that's a really small nitpick because I'd rather have this with a dull coat than no paint on this weapon at all, which would look really bland, and as a result, it doesn't. It looks striking and interesting. This one is a different sculpt, and you do have the yellow paint, and actually this one is done much better, so no issue here. He holds it just fine by tabbing into the back of his hand, which is also a new take on something, and it works very well. Both guns can peg into the sides of the vehicle. He comes with two of these baton type weapons, or ASP, I suppose, and they bend at a 90-degree angle both way on a hinge, and he holds that in his hand with tension, but he holds it just fine. Like, I can even almost pick him up. I can pick him up off the ground by holding it with just the tension. He still manages to hang on. And then he comes with two of his signature missile launchers, shoulder-mounted missile launchers. They do hinge here, and then they have a tab here which will plug in to give you that signature Prowl look. Your missile launchers peg in right at the base of the wheel well. So it's this slot right there. Before we get started looking at this guy, there's a couple of things I want to talk about display-wise. There is this thing here. It's a very tight tolerance, and it put a huge stress mark on this pin here because it's so tight. So you can, it's supposed to be displayed down, but I'm not comfortable having it hang out, so I'm gonna push it back up and leave it there during the review. And you can have it there, you know, for display, and it doesn't really cause any distraction. It obviously looks better down, but it's something worth noting. The other piece is this. You can have this down or out. There's a significant amount of tension that you have to do in order to get these. Like, this is down and it's not a big deal, right? It's not distracting, really. Obviously, it looks better up here, but there's a significant amount of you have to pull this piece against this piece in order to get it up here, but then you kind of have the Prowl wings, which does look awesome. However, for the sake of the review, once again, I'm going to try to keep these down, at least while we're manipulating the figure, because most of the transformation involves these being down. And let's talk about the figure. So, a lot of good. Like, first impression wise, the plastic feels good. It feels on par with most of their plastic, which usually feels good. The joints feel nice. Tolerance wise, the presentation is good, all that kind of stuff. So obviously I say that and then somebody's gonna be like, you said it was good, but then a missile fell off. It's okay, it just wasn't tabbed in all the way. Relax. So obviously these hinge for articulation here. The head, the sculpt on this thing is gorgeous. I'm gonna see if I can't get you in there, so to speak. It is on the money. Nice blue paint, gray paint on the face, I think, or maybe it's white paint on the chin. Either way, I can't tell. It's so good. And then the red metallic paint on the crest of his head. Sharp as a tack. And then we have this stuff. He did put some stickers on here, like they put an Autobot symbol there and there. But I think that stuff is paint here, but I think that stuff is paint there. So that's cool. On the top of his hood there. And then we have the red paint inside of there. It got a little outside here. You might be able to just scratch that off. I'm going to let him take care of that. Moving down the torso, we have the white paint there. White paint. All that stuff looks good. We'll take a look at the back real quick before we move it around. Pretty clean. And then the paint there, the silver paint, which we'll talk about when we get to vehicle mode, looks good too. So you can get the backpack out of the way to get yourself, real quick, I just want to show you something. Like, there is a waist swivel and you can get the full rotation, but it does rub up against the plastic, so be mindful of that. There's also a double hinge in the chest that you can bring up and then get a full ab crunch forward and back, which is nice. It throws off the proportions a bit, but I think it's worth the cost. I think it's worth the cost of doing business. For the pelvis, we have the blue and red paint. Now, let's move on to the arms, which are a bit of an issue for me. So they do hinge here at the shoulder, and then you do get the swivel here. So it's basically like a universal. It's also on a swivel here, but unfortunately you don't get a whole lot of movement there, so you can't really get the arm out to the side, which is a bummer. And with a figure that kind of looks this good, you kind of find yourself wanting to put them in more dynamic poses, and that is a bit of a hindrance. You know, so that is a real criticism that I have of this thing. Bicep swivel, nice red paint on the forearm, white paint on this shield here, and then you have like the little gun thing here that swivels, so that's all good. Wrist, I think they swivel, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they swivel. Right? Maybe they don't. Ooh, that's a bummer. Or maybe they do, and it's just too tight. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to push it. This doesn't belong to me. Oh, there they are. There it goes. Okay, the wrist swivel. I was going to say, I could see where it's screwed in here, so there's no reason for it not to swivel. So good. And then the fingers are on a base pin knuckle at the base knuckle. So all good. Red paint in there. It gets a little outside the lines here and there, but overall pretty good effort, and I think you could probably clean it up yourself if you have a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. Nice blue accents there. Look at that detail there on the shoulder. I love stuff like that. Love it. All right, for the hips, you have the hip flaps here, which you can get up and out of the way. And you can move these up, but you have to have the waist squared up. For the universals at the hips that are just friction universals, but you can get the leg all the way out front, the back one not so much, but you can move this out and pretty much get the full range. On the side, full Van Damme, I'd say. Thigh swivel. Red paint accents all on the thighs. Let's see if we can't adjust these here in the back. Get your knee to 90 degrees, just about. I say we give it to them. Blue paint there that looks good. All those blue and red paint on top of gray paint accents that look good there. The same design in there on the wheels. Red paint, red and blue paint. Really, I mean, impressive amount of kind of accents on this guy. And then the ankles. So they're basically a ball peg, and it's basically a foot, and then you have a heel that operates independently on a swivel, which means you get basically a toe articulation or a foot articulation that kind of faux acts like an ankle, which we've seen plenty of times. So you get an ankle tilt down, let's say, a slight ankle tilt up, and then a slight rocker. And that's a little limited as well. But I have found when I've been posing him, it hasn't caused any issues for me. So I have to be fair about that and say it kind of works well enough to get the job done, just maybe not everything that you would possibly ever want in a perfect universe. But for the most part, really well done effort with just a few exceptions, kind of bumps in the road along the way. But, you know, my dad used to say that every path has its puddles. So, yeah. So there he is with their Prime effort, and I'd have to go back and look at the books, but I feel like he's a little short. Actually, I feel like Prime's a little tall, honestly. It's not the worst thing in the world, and I think you'd easily forgive it if you bought both and had them on a shelf. It's not a big deal. Just kind of speaking critically, I feel like he's a little short, but maybe my memory's off. I'm willing to accept that as well. Let's get him transformed. So separate these two pieces here that are on the back and open up these, kind of unfurl that. You can also get the arms out of the way and spin the waist around. To get the hood over the head, you need to pull forward on these white flaps here and here. And then once you have the head squared up, that should give you the clearance to get this up and over. And once you have that, you can adjust your side pieces here so that the front bumper of the vehicle is formed. G Creations, it's like their whole lot in life is to make me look like an idiot. Dearest G Creations, why must you make me look like an imbecile? All right, so then once we have that in place, we're gonna try to square up the shoulders so that it all lines up, right? And there is a little peg here, but I don't see where it goes in. So we're gonna just get this up and into position, and it's on a series of hinges, so it's a little complicated. And then you want to make sure that the actual tire piece is sitting almost 90 degrees out from the back of the figure. Like this, if you look at this little metal pin there, you want to make sure that that's almost facing straight out. And then this piece is more back, which is the real trick, because this, where that piece turns is here, and where the shoulder turns is here, and the tolerances are a bit tight. So I'm going to clean it up real quick, and then I'll show you what it looks like, because it's going to take forever to show you otherwise. So it should look something like this, with these two tabs into this sort of channel, and then mostly lined up here, and then underneath you have this pin sitting 90 degrees out. Hopefully I can show you better on the other one. There is one other thing here. You want to flip this piece out. All right, so let's spin the guns around on the forearm, and we're going to bring this eventually down here. We're going to bring this piece out to the side, and then all of this stuff has to line up. This tabs into there to solidify that space, and it is scary. And then the arm comes up, and this tab there tabs into here. And because of the double hinge, there's actually a little bit of wiggle room there, which is nice. And then this piece swivels back around to fill in that cavity, which is fine. So let's do the other side. So we're gonna square up the front of the vehicle like we did the last time. And then we're gonna try to get this hinge sitting up at 90 degrees. And it's kind of just, it's just, this is like just a challenging part only because of the tolerances. So there, and then we're gonna bring this down and keep that up is the goal. There. And then this tabs into here. This moves out to the side. I'm really hesitant to push on that. I don't want to cause any damage. We're going to flip the forearm gun around, put the arm up, this piece down. This piece tabs into the forearm. That tabs into there, sort of, kind of, and then you push this piece back around. We are going to spread the legs as far as we can just to sort of help us. We're going to bring up this set of hinges here, straighten it out, and then straighten the foot out. We're going to bring this piece out here. Let me see if I can get it. There. Out. And this piece needs to come out as well. There. Here. Straighten this up. Bring this out to the side. And then bring the tire to the inside. There's just a lot of moving parts here, so just bear with me. There are a series of hinges right here. Hopefully you can see that. What you need to do is have these sitting out 90 degrees to the outside of the body. So, and it is not fun. God, it just doesn't feel good. Like, I feel like I'm gonna break it. And it might be because I'm scared because I did break their prime. I don't know. Then on the opposite side, you'll have this piece sitting out to the side. Swivel that back around to the inside. Tuck this flap in. You need to get this white piece tucked around to the inside. Then you need to get this piece swiveled up and this piece swiveled in, and it needs to go underneath here. That peg. So it's a little bit tricky, like a lot of this leg transformation. I feel like our relationship is extremely complicated.
as I don't feel like I do much to make you look like a bunch of idiots, but you, on the other hand, intend to make me look like...
So in the end, it'll look like this. And then you need to move this up and get this into position where it pegs into this side piece, so to speak. And then flip this around, and we'll clean it all up at the end. But that's basically one leg. I guess we have to do it again. So we're gonna raise this foot up. We're gonna raise the shin rather, and straighten the foot out here. Flip this out. I need to get this unpegged. Bring that around to the other side. We need to get, well, we'll get there. This needs to come around to the opposite side so the tire is facing towards this flap here. And then this piece swivels around to the back side. That forms the wheel well. So once again, we want to get these hinges pretty straight. So we're gonna move this stuff down. We might have to move some of this around, but let's see. Really, really tight. And then this comes back up. This white piece folds to the inside, and the wheel well we need to keep exposed. So we're just trying to, like, this gets a tad bit easier because you can use this side as a reference, but it ain't great. It's not really a fun experience. This comes around to the inside and pegs in to the shin piece.
I am writing to you purposefully on this scrap piece of paper, prison style, because in many ways I feel like it is I who am in prison while transforming your figures.
And there it is. It rolls, looks accurate enough. I'm sure mine isn't 100% right, but it's too sketchy. Like the amount of moving parts and potential for error and breakage is just too high. So I'm just not entirely comfortable. Size comparison wise, there it is with Tiger Tracks. It is a heavy, beefy thing. I'm gonna weigh it because so it's 8.4 ounces. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a cool little car. You know, it's accurate, I think. And it looks the part as far as I can remember. I'm taking all this stuff off. Good night. I just don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's worth the effort to go through. I mean, I guess it's cool that ultimately it can do it, but I just don't know if it's worth it. I like the metallic red there on the lights. I like the silver for the windshield. It's just like it's like the same problem I keep having with G Creations. That's why it was a nice break with their 6-shot. It didn't have as much kind of paint. Like the way that these tabs should tab in here to the side, it's just so sketchy. Like, look at that. Like, I'm just not comfortable, you know? And I've broken G Creation stuff before trying to manipulate stuff, so I'm just not okay with it. But it'll do the trick. It does what it's supposed to do. It's just it's Mr. Toe's wild ride to get there. Final thoughts wise, let's talk about the problems. Joint tolerances are a problem, especially with an extremely complicated transformation. That is the biggest problem here. Now let's take this extremely complicated transformation. That's ultimately a matter of subjectivity. I don't necessarily need the transformation to be simple, but I need it to be enjoyable. A lot of times, simple transformations lend themselves to being enjoyable, but one doesn't necessarily mean the other. But what I ultimately need for myself to enjoy the product is an enjoyable transformation. This is not that. Not as bad as their Prime, but it is a pain. A large pain in the testicles. The instructions aren't a whole lot of help in making that any easier, and I haven't turned these around yet. But it's those two things, and they're working against each other. The other things are a little bit more articulations in the shoulder for an outward movement would have been appreciated, and the way that this waist kind of grinds up against the side pieces of the hips should have been sorted out. There's a lot of good stuff here though. The materials feel great. The action figure element is pretty much awesome with the exception of the shoulders. The paint is everywhere, tons of it, nice detail and accents throughout. No finishes, but I'm kind of okay with that given the transformation process it ultimately has to go through. The joints are toleranced well. I could have used some hardware in there, but it's not the biggest deal in the world because all of the friction, tension, and so forth work well. I don't think I mentioned that the head is on a ball peg also with decent up and decent down. I got distracted by that head sculpt, which is nice. The sculpt is absolutely tremendous and the presence is great. So, recommendation time. This is one of those things where it kind of depends on you. If you like to flip your figures back and forth, if that's a big part of the enjoyment of a figure for you, I can't recommend it. However, if you like a strong presence of a figure, like a great display option, this will work beautifully. You'll be 100% satisfied in that, I have no doubt. So in terms of my recommendation, ultimately it depends on what you want out of it. And that's all I can say. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.